Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sustainable Communities Workgroup meeting for September 16th, 2024. At this time, and we're here this evening to review some grant applications for the Legacy Grant. But at this time, is there anyone here that wishes to make a public comment? Is there anyone online? Okay. So next we have the disposition of the minutes from April 8th, our last meeting. Does anyone have any comment about the minutes? I had a couple of minor things, just some grammatical things down under public comment where it says Miss Hashan. I think the S and H were reversed.
Okay.
And then in that same sentence, after the word churches, I think it's supposed to be are instead of and. So other than that, it looked good to me.
Okay.
Anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. I think we have consensus that the minutes are approved with the amendments. So we don't have any old business. Our new business consists of two grant applications that are requesting a total of $16,855.63 that are available from FY 2023 and FY 2024, the Community Legacy Grant Funds. So our task will be to review these applications and determine if they meet the requirements and then either approve or disapprove. Before I get to that, I just want to go over some of the background for the legacy grants. Just for the folks that may be watching out there, the Emmitsburg Facade Restoration Program is funded by the Community Legacy Grant from the Department of Housing and Community Development. And the Community Legacy Grant supports revitalization projects that contribute to business and tourism attraction, encouraging property owners to take part in the revitalization process. The town's program's purpose is to help residential and commercial property owners in the sustainable communities area undertake restoration projects and improve the visual quality of the area. The town applied for the Community Legacy Grant in June 2023 and was notified in December 2023 that the amount of $50,000 has been approved to fund the program for that year. Subsequently, the applications were made available for property owners in the sustainable communities area to receive up to 50% match with a maximum of $12,500 towards the cost of facade improvement projects. And the Sustainable Communities Workgroup is responsible for recommending which properties will receive funding for this grant. The Sustainable Communities Workgroup previously recommended several projects for funding at our last meetings, and these recommendations were forwarded to the Maryland Historical Trust for final approval. The Maryland Historical Trust evaluates and selects projects for funding based on the proposed project's impact on historical resources in accordance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 and or the Maryland Historical Trust Act of 1985. So some of those projects didn't meet the criteria for the historical trust, and then some folks have withdrawn. So that left us with some additional monies, the $19,970.98, which is what we're dealing with this evening. And then finally, the guidelines for approval. I'll just review those. Number one, does the project contribute to the general revitalization of the sustainable community area? Number two, is there public benefit to the project? Number three, does the project's design conform to the following design standards? A, the distinguishing original qualities and character of the building shall be preserved. removal of historic or distinctive architectural features may disqualify a project. And B, deteriorated architectural features should be repaired rather than replaced. If replacement is necessary, the new material should match the material being replaced in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities. Contemporary design for alterations to existing properties is acceptable if such alterations do not destroy significant historical, architectural, and cultural materials, and if such design is compatible with the size, scale, color, material, and character of the property and adjacent buildings. Okay, so that's the background and our guidelines for approval. So we'll move on to looking at the applications. And the first one is letter A, and it has to do with 205 East Main Street. And the applicant is requesting replacement of existing windows and then to wrap the window frames. Also asking to repair a floor joist in the basement and install some support for that joist. And then 3, requesting pointing of brick on the entire exterior. So we have a total project estimate shown as $8,711.25. And so half of that is $4,355.63. So I suppose the first thing that I'll point out is that the repair to the basement joist doesn't meet the criteria for this.
I agree.
So I think we can just scratch that portion. So that would take $425 off of the original amount, bringing down the total to $8,286.25. And then half of that is $4,143.13. So did anyone else have any questions, comments about this application?
Yeah, the only issue was the floor joist thing, floor jack.
Okay.
I don't have the background on this, but it looks like she did apply for this in the past and was denied and told that, or at least the town had called and said that the windows could be scraped and painted and not replaced. So I just didn't know if there was a background on that and if that matters.
So I don't think she's applied before, but I think our planner,
she just has.
Najila Hassan, was in communication with Maryland Historical Trust. Is that correct? Okay. And they commented that they don't allow replacement of the windows unless they're just really falling apart.
Okay.
So that's one issue. So was that all you were going to say?
Yeah, I just wanted some clarification on that because it sounds like a safety issue going on that the windows don't open, but I don't know if that's the preservation grant, what we're looking for, but new windows certainly would update the facade of the building. And, but yeah, I wasn't sure what had happened in the past. So I appreciate that clarification. So if we were to pass this through, would the historical trust then likely deny it if they don't necessarily replace windows?
So they're still reviewing it and they want proof that saying that the applicant has tried everything to make sure that it can't be restored and that she has to resort to replacement, but we haven't gotten that documentation yet. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Song.
So this will be pending.
Well, the other, so in addition to that, I was discussing this with Mrs. Son earlier. We don't actually have a contractor's proposal.
Yeah, I know.
So I would like to see that broken down, and that's a requirement of the application. So
Yeah, the
I don't,
pictures, but no contract.
yeah, we have the figures, but we don't actually have a contract from the person she selected to do the improvements, or the company she selected to do the improvements. So I would certainly like to see that. And I kind of wish she had come here. I wanted to talk to her a little bit about the safety issue. I mean, the windows can be repaired to open and move easily. You know, that could be part of the repair.
Could be they were painted shut before or something.
Well, it's very possible. I don't know. In fact, I called the applicant. I was hoping to look at the windows because I'm a building inspector. I kind of know about that stuff. So I wanted to look at the windows and see what condition they were in, but I didn't get a response when I tried to contact her.
I also don't see on this the matching contribution portion. So I do want to clarify with the homeowner that she understands that she's responsible for half of the funds. I don't want any homeowners thinking that they would get that full amount
well,
as we move forward with
That
this.
should
So
be clarified for sure.
yeah, I don't see anywhere in there where she understands.
So in my mind, this is an incomplete application. So I'd kind of like to table this until we get some more information, like a contractor's proposal and
But she
more.
has to the contractor, but we just don't have it paperwork.
Yeah, but right. But as you'll see in the next application, I mean, we have an actual contract
Right.
from a contractor, and that's what we're supposed to have. Because it's not clear to me if this figure is a figure for window replacement, which is what she actually wanted, or if it was a figure for window repair. And I think Najila thinks it's actually an estimate for replacement, which may not even be allowed. So yeah, I kind of hate to put it off, but until we get more information, I think we should table this. Okay.
Yes, I agree. Do we have is there a timeline, or I saw something January 2024. Would that be the deadline?
So this grant period, it's for 2 years.
Okay.
So as soon as we're out of here, I'm gonna let Lisa would know that your decision, so she can get moving on quickly, and then on our staff level, we can figure out a date for the work group to meet again soon.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. And so in the letter from the applicant, I just wanted to share this with everyone. Do we need a motion to table that, or just consensus? Or I guess we should have a motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we table this until we get the needed information.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to table the application from 205 East Main Street, Emmitsburg. We'll be tabling that. It's accepted by consensus. So I was going to mention the applicant also made some comments about energy efficiency, and that was another reason why she wanted to replace the windows. And I would like to talk to her about that. So again, I've been trained to do energy audits on buildings, and I know about energy efficiency and that sort of thing. And there's programs in the county that will help improve energy efficiency in houses. And they're very good programs, and they're income based. So for instance, a one-person household can make up to $70,900 a year and get a substantial grant for improvements at the house. And a two-person household can make up to $81,000 a year. And they will put new insulation in the attic, and they'll seal ducts and windows and doors and do heating and air conditioning tune-ups and that sort of thing. So some good programs out there, and hopefully people will take advantage of them. Okay, so, yeah, the first application, 205 East Main Street, was tabled till we get further information. So we'll move on to item B, which is 706 West Main Street. And this one's a little more straightforward and simple. So the applicant's requesting to replace an existing metal roof on the house only and not the porch that's in the front. The existing roof is the existing roof is also metal, and it's estimated to be 75 years old, and it has several areas that are deteriorating and leaking. So the total cost of the project is $30,000, and the applicant is requesting the maximum, which is $12,500. And the applicant gave some history about the house and has a proposal from the contractor, and photos and some documentation of the type of roof that will be installed. So, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a good application. All the required components are there. I love this old building. I liked learning the history about it, that
Yeah.
it was built as a school, and even knowing, secondary was upstairs. You don't see a ton of the roof, I feel like, when you're leaving town. You do see more of it coming in. So I do think it, preserves the historical nature of that building, and would love to see it too when the roof is done, or the porch roof is done. That's the one I think that's much more visible,
Yeah.
but I think it's a good reason to use this grant to, preserve that building and kind of the historic look of it.
Okay. Any thoughts from you, Sharon?
No, I agree. I knew that this was an old one because I knew that the chalkboard was still upstairs.
Mm.
He said the owner had told me before,
Is that right?
but I'd like to see it preserved too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And starting the roof is one of the main things. And she did show us pictures of the wood under in the attic,
Yeah.
where their leaks were coming through.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I looked at it from the exterior. I mean, you can definitely see deterioration on the roof,
Mhm.
and it's rusted, and
it's hard to see, like you said, it's hard to see the very top
Yeah.
roof. We see more of the
Yeah.
porch roof, but they're not doing that one now. But they
Right.
do say they're gonna,
Yeah, and that plan makes sense, top down. For
yeah,
layman's perspective, it does make sense. You would start with the structure
yeah,
and
the main-
restore and move your way down. So it's beautiful. I'll appreciate it much more now when I drive by that
Yeah,
housed a bunch of children for many years.
yeah.
yeah.
So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the grant for 12,500 from 706 West Main Street.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we've approved the grant for 706 West Main Street to replace the metal roof, and the total of the grant will be $12,500. Okay. So I assume there's no more public comment. Is there any other business, Mrs. Song?
So staff would like to get your suggestions on how to improve the grant application
Oh,
of the owner. So I provided copies for you tonight.
that's why that was sitting there.
That's great. Thank you so much for making that fully digital. Just one of the examples of the applications tonight, some of it's very hard to read. So I think it will be really helpful for those that are able to fill in a PDF digitally and get that to us. I do have suggestions, a few other edits possibly under question 8. I noticed there's some confusion in the applications when it says project element. That middle column says number of, and then the third column says days or weeks. I've seen many different types of answers there. I don't think if people know, like, if it's a number, if we put windows for the element, how many windows, how many days or weeks, or if it's the number of days or weeks. So if we could just clean that up a little bit to have, I'm not even sure exactly. It looks like it just wants the time. So I think one column, anticipated timeline or number of days or weeks projected.
Yeah, I agree. That's a little confusing.
And then if I may make one more.
Sure, go ahead.
On the next page, on page 3, just at the top, the columns up there, it talks about the historical grant funds requested and then the applicant's cash. It may be a little more clear that it's the portion or the share of the applicant.
You might not have the actual cash.
Right, right. And just them understanding that that's going to be the part that they're responsible for. And then I don't know if in the section where you can do the description, we've seen long descriptions. So I don't know if that body where there's, I think, about 6 lines for text, if that would be expanded, if someone would keep typing, if they're doing the digital one and it would just expand. Or I do think people can do an attachment or give us an extra paper. I'm fine with that. But I think there's been a few where they either try to squish it all into that little portion or don't put much there at all and just add something to the end. So I don't know if we want to build it all into the main body of the application by giving more space for that.
You can probably make the half of the page for a description and then encourage people to add more pages if they need to, if that works.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
That works.
Did you have anything, Sharon?
Yeah, one thing.
Okay. So under number 7, where it says at least one cost estimate, and including type of materials proposed, so there may have been some confusion here that they don't really need a contractor's proposal, but I would like to make that very clear. That we would like to see the actual contractor's proposal for the project, whatever contractor they've chosen. I'd like to see that proposal because sometimes that'll help us understand what's happening a little better because some of these things have been kind of complex and there's a whole list of things the contractor may be doing and it may not be clear in the applicant's description. So if we could make it clear that we would like the actual contractor's proposal from the contractor, I'd appreciate that. I think that was about the only thing I had then. So does that help? Anything else?
Yeah, one last thing.
Mhm.
So when we have people sign a grant agreement form with the town, we don't put a deadline on it. The grant period is 2 years, but that doesn't mean they should take the entire time and then leave the project for the end and rush to finish it.
Right.
So we've had one applicant not follow through. So if you had any suggestions as to how to deal with something like that, or how much or how long of a deadline, just that.
So when did we act on that application?
April.
That was the first time this past April.
Yeah.
And there's no language in the grant that says how, in the contract, when they receive that grant that says you would have a certain amount of time.
Right. It
Okay.
just says that you cannot start the project until this grant agreement has been executed.
Oh, so they haven't even signed the agreement to get started.
Right.
Okay, I wasn't processing right. I was thinking they were just taking too long to finish or something, but okay, I understand now. Have you been in touch with that applicant?
Yes, they've been contacted via email and as well.
And have you gotten any response?
He said he'll take care of it, but it's been a while. So.
Okay. Yeah, if that person doesn't want the money, we can give it to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess the question is how long we wait. So Maryland, the state of Maryland doesn't have any guidelines for that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we designed the program how we want it, as long as we meet their standards.
So this is a 2-year grant, so it expires, is it fiscal year or calendar year?
Fiscal year.
So
yeah.
it'll expire June 30th of 2025 or 26. I guess if it's a 24 grant.
25, yeah.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
what kind of work was this?
I believe it was gutter replacement.
Ah,
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say, normally with the grant, those funds have to be pulled out of the grant by like 30 days before the end of the grant. So that's a natural deadline that the money just won't be there after probably June 1st. I know that's still a ways off, but I'm curious. It's interesting. Do contractors typically have how long that estimate would be good for?
Usually 30 days.
So that kind of
Most contractors.
feels like a natural way to kick someone to get started so that that estimate remains the same.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we need some language in the contract that says you have a certain amount of time to accept the grant award, or else you forfeit and will, that fund stays in the grant. I don't know what that contract looks like.
So in this particular case, since we haven't had any language with a deadline, and the work itself should not take very long once they actually start, if I'm recalling what this work actually is. I'd be willing to give them till the end of the year to sign the contract. I mean, if
And if they
it's the
don't get it
person I'm
done-
thinking of, we didn't act on this right away, and it came back a second time, and they were very insistent that they wanted to do the work. So I'm kind of surprised that they aren't acting a little faster. But
I could see if the finances were hard on their end because it is a matching. So
Yeah.
if something has come up like that. But yeah, if this grant ends the end of fiscal year, we do want the opportunity to be able to open it up to other people that may want to apply and use those funds. So I do think an end of year deadline, if we can still impose that, if there's already a contract signed. Otherwise, I feel like it just has to default until the end of the grant period.
If he is having financial, we can open it up again,
we-
literally down the road as a new application.
well, if he doesn't
If
take advantage,
He
of it,
doesn't
yeah,
take advantage of this.
for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's why I
I
just
know
can't
what-
figure out why else. It's not that it's been winter for the past couple of months and it's not been good time to do that. So
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't been winter.
yeah, right. Like that.
Yeah, it should have been.
So yeah, if we can do that, then
Time.
put a end of calendar year deadline, and that'll still give that person another 6 months to actually complete the work, which it should be plenty of time for this kind of work. For what I remember it to be. Is that okay? Do you want a motion from us or? just our
Discussion is
consensus?
fine, yeah. Just consensus.
And Mrs. San, then can I see one of our contracts that go out to the recipients once they receive it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I can-
I don't need it now, but just via email in the next couple of weeks, just so I understand better what the second part of this process looks like.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks. So I do have one more question.
Sure.
So if this other grant, if the first grant is on hold, it's being tabled for right now, there are still additional funds remaining. This is an open grant. People can continue to apply, or does the August 1st deadline hold? I thought I saw somewhere there was an August 1st.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right, we had it open until August 1st.
Okay,
And that's when we got these 2 applications.
got it.
So if you want to open it up again, you can recommend that for sure. We'll have to coordinate with everyone, so, yeah.
Maybe we wait till we revisit
Yeah.
and then make a decision depending on how much time is left. there is someone interested out there, we should make it available if there's funds left.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can hopefully get a response from the applicant and get more information, and get an actual proposal. I'd hate to open it up again until we hear back from that person.
Right.
Or I wouldn't want to
The
open it
bottom.
up. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what August 1st, she was wondering.
Oh,
It's on the bottom of that one.
Great. Okay.
So how long can we keep rolling over funds that don't get used? I mean, is there a certain point where we just
They have
lose
to
the
have us
funds
all.
if they're still remaining, or what happens?
So if we don't spend within that a 2-year period, since we submit for reimbursement, we just wouldn't be submitting for like the entire amount, and that fund goes back to the state.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
but we have 2 years to do that.
okay.
Did that put our chances lower of getting new grants
Mm.
then, or no? Because we didn't use the prior.
It could affect their,
It's a good question. It puts us at a
Position.
riskier score.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if they see we don't
Right.
have enough use for that, they might put it to another area.
So can we make kind of a deadline to hear back from this one applicant at 205 East Main, say within a month to give us,
Should be plenty of time.
yeah, that
Yeah.
should be more than enough time, I would think. So just in case, she doesn't want to proceed or whatever, we can try to reallocate those funds to somebody else if there's anybody else. Okay. Any other business?
I'm good.
That it? Okay, we stand adjourned.